Now, from the Bay Area's local news station, you're watching the KRON 4 Morning News at 5.
Good morning and thanks for joining us on the first day after Labor Day, which, as you know, means you need to wear white. Do you remember I started this tradition to buck tradition last year? So every day, Labor Day week, I wear white every day.
Just thumb your nose.
You like that?
I like it a lot. Welcome back, everybody. Hope you had a good holiday. And welcome back, Dory. Hope you had a good vacation, gone for a while.
Robin's still gone, but we've got Rebecca here.
Yeah, filling in for traffic, getting back to normal.
Yeah.
So we can definitely tell folks are getting back to work, kids are going to be getting back to school, so it is busy out there. I'll check the Bay Bridge.
Okay, and no mistaking, it still feels like summer.
It sure does, yeah. And I still think you have plenty of time to wear that white.
Yeah, whenever you want.
That rule only applies in like Norway and places like that, which, someone just got back from
Right.
But you know what? If you're getting outside today, more sunshine, so go ahead, wear that white, wear whatever you want to. This morning, you may just want to keep the jacket on hand, whatever you may be wearing, because we do have some cool and foggy conditions. Fog streaming on in through the Golden Gate Bridge, not really obscuring the view too terribly much. It looks like people are doing just fine out there, and visibility is holding strong even at our coastal areas. Much of what we're seeing is streaming in right across the bay, not really settling down into it. So you're going to be looking at the clouds when you're looking up, not so much ahead of you as you are making that drive into work. Temperatures this morning in the 50s and 60s. It is a cooler start to the day than yesterday was at this time. I'm sure many of you were sleeping at this time yesterday, so you don't really remember it, but it is cool enough for that jacket as you're getting out there. Later on today, won't need the jacket inland. We're going to be warm yet again with temperatures well into the upper 80s, if not back into the low 90s for many areas. I've got more in your forecast ahead. Rebecca?
All right, I've got a lot of traffic to talk about because things are getting back to normal after the holiday. You can tell right here, the Bay Bridge Toll Plaza approach pretty packed already as we kick off this 5 o'clock hour. You're backed up into the cash lanes there, of course, and then just past the 880 overcrossing, and the drive time already starting to slowly climb. A 12-minute drive time total to get yourself from the Maze over to Fremont Street across the upper deck and into San Francisco. And things are getting busier here, but the drive time still looks good for the San Mateo Bridge. If this is your commute, westbound 92 coming out of Hayward over to Foster City and connecting with 101, no issues to report on the span. And again, under 15 minutes, that's a great drive time so far this morning. I'll check the Richmond-Santerfeld Bridge and the Golden Gate. James, Daria.
Thanks a lot. It's 5:02 right now, and our top story this morning, 34 passengers are presumed dead after a boat caught fire off the Southern California coast, but they've only pulled 25 bodies out of the water at this hour.
KRON 4's J.R. Stone taking a closer look at the story.
Right now, more than 24 people have been confirmed dead after this dive boat caught fire in Southern California. This picture was taken by the Santa Barbara County Fire Department 15 minutes after an emergency call came from the ship.
2 seconds. I can't breathe.
Conception is the name of the 75-foot boat that caught fire. 39 people were on board as the boat was just 20 yards from Santa Cruz Island and 20 miles from the mainland. The sheriff says the emergency call came in around 3:30 Monday morning.
It was such a hopeless, helpless feeling to watch that boat burn and know there were only 5 people at our boat and there was nothing we could do.
It was fully engulfed from bow to stern. I mean, and flames probably 30 feet high.
There was a 17-year-old girl celebrating her birthday with her parents that she might not have another birthday.
That witness and her husband helped save 5 crew members who had been on board the boat.
The crew was actually already awake and on the bridge, and they jumped off.
Monday morning, one victim who survived could be seen as he was taken away on a stretcher. Another had his ankle taped up. But late Monday, heartbreaking news from rescue crews as some of the victims' remains were taken back to the mainland.
Rescue and recovery efforts on the scene have located an additional 4 victims on the ocean floor in close proximity to the vessel.
It's believed that most of the passengers were sleeping below deck when the fire started, likely trapped and unable to get out.
The majority of the people were the passengers on the ship, and the sleeping compartment was on the bottom deck of the ship, so they would have been sound asleep when this fire started. So you can imagine that of all scenarios, to be in a remote location, have a fire that occurs, have limited, if any, firefighting capabilities that could address that, and then to have all of a sudden a fire that spread very, very rapidly. You couldn't ask for a worse situation.
J.R. Stone, KRON 4 News.
And we actually had a chance to talk to a local diver who's actually been on that very boat during previous excursions. San Francisco diver Jacqueline Lair says she's been on board the Conception several times, as a matter of fact. The ship is owned by Truth Aquatics Fleet, and according to their website, there is one set of stairs that leads up into the galley from the bunks below. And once in that galley, Lair says there's a kitchen and a dining area that you have to pass through in order to get out onto the deck.
In this situation, that's probably where all the issues ran into in regards to all the people that haven't been found yet.
Now, the NTSB is now in charge of determining how that boat fire started, and that could take several weeks. We're also learning more about the gunman behind Saturday's mass shooting in Odessa, Texas, that killed 7 people and wounded 23 others. 36-year-old Seth Ator called an FBI national tip line just minutes before the shooting started, but was incoherent. He was rattling off a series of complaints. He had been fired from a truck driving job earlier in the day, and he had also called 911 to complain about that as well. Also this morning, there are new questions about where the gunman got that assault rifle that he used in the shooting. Investigators say he failed a background check, but still managed somehow to get that weapon.
A hospital in the East Bay is making sure that they are ready in the event of a mass shooting.
Yeah, an active shooter drill will take place this morning. It'll be in Walnut Creek, and that's where KRON 4's Sarah Stinson joins us live with more on what's expected today. And so that everybody knows and nobody panics, we're trying to get the word out this is just a drill. Sarah?
Yeah, it's important everyone in the Walnut Creek area realizes that, because it is going to be a realistic active shooter drill here at John Muir Health, actually in the building behind me. It's set for today, and it'll be going on for the next couple days. And it's going to be so realistic that you may actually hear gunfire, you may hear screaming, you're going to see a huge police and first responder response at John Muir Health. So if you see that and you're hearing it, make sure you just remember it is a drill. Now they're doing it in this building because they're going to tear it down anyways, and so they thought it'd be the perfect location to practice this worst case scenario. Now if you live near the hospital, you may hear this. There will be definitely a lot going on here. They will have volunteers acting as victims and dressed up as though they are in need of help. This is a 4-day training that will help agencies prepare for this type of incident involving an active shooter, which seems to happen more times than it does not. We see it on the news, as you see it all the time, and so this is something people have to prepare for, especially our first responders, especially our hospital staff. Now, Walnut Creek Police, Concord Police, Contra Costa County Fire Protection District, they'll all be a part of this. John Muir officials want to make sure the public is aware of this drill so you don't freak out. One of those exercises is actually going to begin this morning at 9 o'clock, and it'll be going on for the next 3 to 4 days, and we'll be here live checking in with some of those people who will be involved in the exercises. We want to see how they're feeling and why this is so important to them to do, especially in this building before they tear it down, a good opportunity that they're taking advantage of. For now, I'm live in Walnut Creek. Sarah Stinson, KRON 4 News.
Okay, thank you, Sarah.
5:08 is the time, and after more than a week in recess, an Oakland jury resumes deliberations today in the Ghost Ship Warehouse fire trial. Max Harris and Derek Almena face 36 counts of involuntary manslaughter for the fire that happened in 2016. Before the break, 3 jurors were dismissed and replaced with alternates. Those alternates were part of deliberations for 3 days before the recess. The case was turned over to the jury more than a month ago. The search continues this morning for an 84-year-old man from San Mateo County who hasn't been seen for a week. His name is Paul Farmer, and he walked away from his home in Belmont last Monday. He hasn't been heard from since. People are concerned and searching for him. Here they are yesterday, where they gathered at the Carlmont Village Shopping Center to spread the word about him. Video shows Farmer walking along Highway 92 near De Anza Boulevard the night that he went missing.
Just hurts us terribly to know he's out there when we're home at night ourselves, worrying. Please just help us. get this man home to his wife. She's devastated, and their sons are just devastated.
Those volunteers say they're going to be out there looking for him every day.
A body recovered from the bay is the man who crashed through a gate and then drove onto the tarmac at Oakland Airport. The Alameda County Sheriff's Office says that man then got out, tried to get away from police by jumping into the water. This happened Sunday afternoon near the estuary. The man's identity has not yet been released. Oakland police are looking for the person who killed a mother of 5. 44-year-old Martha Cassiano was leaving a home on East 22nd Street yesterday morning when she was hit by a stray bullet. Police say there was a fight that happened nearby when the shots were fired. Cassiano was just passing by when she was killed.
Investigators do not believe that the argument and the person who discharged the firearm up the street has any connection with the victim, who unfortunately sustained a fatal gunshot wound.
A $10,000 reward is now being offered for information leading to the arrest of the person responsible. This is Oakland's 48th homicide of the year.
The world-renowned Titans of Maverick surf competition is suspended indefinitely. No more Mavericks. The World Surf League says that they have had several problems putting the Mavericks event together, and so they're pulling the plug on Mavericks. The competition has taken place off the coast of Half Moon Bay between November and March ever since 1998. Instead, surfers are going to be competing in Hawaii and Portugal later this year. Happening today, there's going to be a ribbon-cutting ceremony at the new Chase Center in San Francisco. The first concert at the home of the Warriors will be Friday when Metallica does a show. The Warriors will play their first regular season game at home at the new Chase Center on October 24th.
Still ahead on the KRON 4 Morning News, a group of East Bay employees used Labor Day to protest what they call unfair wages. We're going to hear from the hospital employees and what they're demanding. Plus, another BART station will go paperless starting today. We'll tell you which one. And after the break, Hurricane Dorian continues to hammer the Bahamas more than 24 hours after making landfall, and now it's heading to the East Coast.
And back here at home, we do have a pretty calm forecast ahead of us. Temperatures inland will get hot yet again, though, after this cool start to the morning. Your forecast to come.
And your commute getting back to normal now. The Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, we could see it backed up in the cash-paying lanes. I'll have a complete traffic check after the break.
Now, from the Bay Area's local news station, you're watching the KRON 4 Morning News at 5.
Good morning and thanks for joining us. How many days are we into after Labor Day now?
What, Labor Day was
Monday,
Sunday,
Tuesday,
so Monday, Tuesday, day 3.
Okay, 3 on the white. I've got a couple to get. I'm going to run out of white dresses. I'm Daria Folsom.
And I'm James Fletcher. We got lots to talk about today, a lot of news to get to, which we will. But first, weather and traffic. Let's find out what's going on outside. Morning, Rebecca.
Good morning. No hot spots, the good news, but a lot of folks hitting the roads. So a lot of folks getting to work. It's busy out there, especially the Bay Bridge.
It is. It's just like back to normal. And the weather's been nice.
Yeah.
Nice yesterday. Kind of warm again.
Kind of warm again. The difference has been so slight, unless you're really keen on noticing temperature changes.
Right.
You're not really going to notice too much from the day to day.
Hot as hot as hot.
Exactly. But by the weekend, it's not as hot. We're slowly getting there. We will return to some low 80s come the weekend just around the corner. The biggest change this morning isn't really temperature related. It's just the lack of fog that you're seeing across the bay. For the most part, we're off to a pretty clear start, as you can see in San Francisco. Visibility is holding strong for most areas. You will encounter some fog as you travel up Highway 1 and out at the Golden Gate Bridge. Elsewhere, though, skies are nice and clear and temperatures comfortably cool. A light jacket this morning and you'll be good to go as you're stepping out the door. 50s and 60s for your current temperatures across the bay. Vallejo right at 60 degrees. Tiburon at a cool 55 right now. Later on today, temperatures about 1 to 2 degrees different from yesterday. Not too much of a change. Upper 80s return inland with 60s and 70s along the bay and the coast. More in your forecast is just around the corner. Rebecca?
All right, I'm Rebecca Strom filling in for Robin this morning. Wednesday morning, it's starting to get busy out there. The Bay Bridge Toll Plaza, you could see a lot more cars on the roadway here. Try to leave early if you can, because it's only going to continue to grow as we get through the rest of the morning. And your drive time, though, right now under 15 minutes. That's pretty good. Kicking off the 5 o'clock hour across the upper deck, getting over to Fremont Street. That's going to be a nice trip for you so far. And still lightly traveled here, the San Mateo Clear Bridge looks good. This is just under 15 minutes as well if you're going to be traveling from the East Bay over to the peninsula. No problems on the high rise. The flat section looks good. Trying to get over to that 101 connector in Foster City. I'll check the Richmond-Sanderfeld Bridge and the Golden Gate in just a bit. James, Daria.
Thanks a lot, Rebecca. 5:01. And with the massive recovery operation now underway in Southern California, we're beginning to learn more about who these people were who died in the diving boat fire.
Yeah, that was Monday when it burst into flames. The Conception was the name of the boat. KRON 4's Taylor Bisacki has the very latest now on where the investigation stands this morning.
Mayday calls after 5 people escaped the flames of the Conception diving boat off the Channel Islands. The captain and 4 crew members were on the upper deck at the time, while searchers believe 34 others were sleeping below the deck. One witness on a nearby boat says the surviving crew woke him up.
Guests were sleeping below decks in their bunks, and their main exit out of there was through the galley. And when they opened the galley door, they said it was totally engulfed in flames, that the ceiling tiles were falling off the ceiling, and they couldn't get to them at all.
After no new signs of survivors, the Coast Guard transitioned from rescue to recovery mode, and other agencies like the NTSB dove in to help.
We've begun to obtain factual information and documents. We've reached out to develop a list of people that we would like to interview.
Investigators will review what happened leading up to the fire, as well as the vessel's layout and its operations. On one recording, you hear a dispatcher asking about locks on the boat.
Roger, are they locked inside the boat?
But investigators believe the fire is what trapped the other passengers.
There are no locked doors in accommodation spaces aboard these vessels. It's open berthing.
This is what the Conception looked like before the fire. A former passenger posted this video from a 2018 trip. Another former passenger who slept on the boat just a month ago says the boat was in great condition.
It was very well kept. Everything was well maintained. I remember sitting on the deck looking around saying, no way that this was the same boat that my dad used to dive off of when he was my age.
Now, more questions than answers remain from Monday's trip on the Conception.
I am 100% confident that our investigators will determine the cause of this fire, why it occurred, how it occurred, and what is needed to prevent it from happening again. Absolutely.
Taylor Bisacki, KRON 4 News.
And now let's talk more about those who lost loved ones in that boat fire.
Yeah, Fremont teacher and his daughter are among those who died. We have KRON 4's Sarah Stinson standing by from American High School in Fremont, where the father who died, I guess, was a physics teacher there. Sarah?
That's right. I'm live here at American High School. That is where Scott Chan, he was a AP physics teacher, and he was very beloved here. Him and his daughter were on the boat of the Conception when it caught fire, and we spoke with his wife about all of this. She says she's in shock. Take a look at these photos of Chan and his daughter, Kendra. In the span of one night, she lost her husband of 35 years and lost her daughter, who's 26 years old. Her name's Kendra Chan. She went to Mountain View High School and UC Davis and has a passion for coastal waters, had friends all over, and loved to travel. Now, the family lived in Los Altos, but the father and daughter duo often loved to dive in Monterey Bay. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife in Ventura County says Kendra was a wildlife biologist who grew up scuba diving with her father in the Channel Islands. This is something they love to do together. Mother and wife Vicki Moore says it gives her a little bit of peace knowing they died pursuing one of their passions, but she says she's well aware that the path ahead for her is a difficult one.
And they've been on that boat many times. They go several times a year on these, and no one would have suspected any problems, you know, so we're just shocked at the whole thing. They just lived life to the fullest. They loved nature, they loved the outdoors, they loved to explore, they were curious, and just such amazing people. And like I said, it's I'm still trying to process this. This is but yeah, this is just a huge loss in so many ways.
She also added that her husband, who graduated from Stanford and was a hardware engineer for many years of his career, he then transitioned into teaching within the last decade. Now, this will obviously be a big hit to the high school. The Fremont Unified School District has released a statement saying this will be a tremendous loss for the district, and there will be counselors on campus to help students as they grieve the loss of Chan. Now, definitely a big hit, as I said, but a lot of Chan's colleagues will remember him as innovative and inspiring. For now, I'm live in Fremont. Sarah Stinson, KRON 4 News.
Thank you, Sarah. And at least 5 people from Santa Cruz are among those who are presumed dead. One of the victims, 41-year-old Christy Finstad. She ran Worldwide Diving Adventures with her husband, Dan. Before that, she worked in the water department for the Santa Cruz City. The mayor reacted to news of her death.
I wish I had an opportunity to have known her more, and that we just are here with the family. We're with our employees that knew her and support them getting the resources they need, and just our hearts break for that.
Finstad opened her business back in 2015. Among the victims, also a group of students from Pacific Collegiate Charter School in Santa Cruz. They're not identifying, giving the names of the students, but counselors are going to be on hand today to help the classmates cope with the loss because they know who is missing. The head of the school offered her support for the families.
Pacific Collegiate School is saddened by the tragic sinking of the diving vessel Conception over the weekend. While this was not a school-sponsored trip, our hearts and thoughts are with the families and victims and those yet missing.
There are reports that along with the 2 students from the school, there were 2 Pacific Collegiate parents on board that boat as well.
And then in Stockton, a community there mourning the loss now of a family of 5 who are presumed dead in this tragedy. Fernisa Cison and her husband Michael and his 3 daughters Angela, Evan, and Nicole were on board the Conception Monday. Since Cison's children say their entire family loved to scuba dive. In fact, they've been on trips all over the world together. They say the family was very close. And even though the couple just married a few years ago, they all felt like extremely close family.
They loved each other so much, so much. They were great together, amazing together, and they did get to do something they loved. You know, Mike really super loved that, and my mom got to spend time with him, and you know, and them being together, I do take some kind of comfort in that.
Fernisa and Michael were nurses at Kaiser. Previously, they had worked at St. Joseph's. Michael's daughter, Evan, was also a nurse, and Angela was a teacher at Sierra Middle School in Stockton. His other daughter, Nicole, lived in Southern California. We do have continuing coverage of this tragedy on our website at KRON4.com. You can find out what we know about the victims who've been identified so far. We also have video of what the inside of that boat, the Conception, looked like before the fire. And there's also a timeline, too, of the events leading up to the tragedy this past Monday, along with the latest with the news conferences as well. Just go to KRON4.com to find out more.
5:09 right now, and in the East Bay, thieves targeted an Oakland elementary school again and stole 60 laptops, caused serious damage to several rooms. Take a look. It happened at Markham Elementary School. Here it is on Krause Avenue, and it's not the first time this year that somebody's broken into the school. Similar break-ins have happened at several different schools in the district, and the losses have amounted to hundreds of thousands of dollars. Markham Elementary was also broken into last year. Thieves stole 40 Amazon Kindles in that case. 5:10 and still ahead on the KRON 4 Morning News. In the wake of several mass shootings in the last month, one of San Francisco's biggest music festivals is changing the rules to keep people safe. And later, deliberations resume in the Ghost Ship Warehouse fire trial in Oakland. But if the jury can't reach a decision soon, the trial could see more disruptions. And Hurricane Dorian devastates the Bahamas and now setting its sights on the southeastern U.S.
And back here in the Bay, we are going to be looking at a chance of isolated dry thunderstorms this afternoon. Besides that, a pretty calm forecast. After a cool start to our morning, your forecast is ahead.
And your Wednesday morning commute starting to gear up around the Bay Area. I'll have a complete traffic check coming up.
When the next big quake hits, will you be ready?
The more you prepare, the more you'll
increase your look.
From retrofitting your home
This wall is what we're worried about collapsing.
to early warning systems,
An earthquake has started. You're about to feel shaky.
quake preparedness kits,
All the essentials all in one place so that you're ready to go.
and the Bay Area's most dangerous fault. Cron 4 is giving you the tools you need for surviving the big one. All next week on Cron 4.